All right, everyone, today's role analysis is with this big blue belt named Andrew. And I know that he might be kind of dynamic, so I just elevate him a little to get him to pass on his knees. And you'll see it here immediately. I kind of go for my first attack right there. He bails pretty early on it, but just sometimes it's good to set the pace. So here, as he's holding onto my pants, you can see his elbow flares open. And all I do is I take this scoop grip and I redirect his head, and I like to throw my leg over to enter the Choi bar. This is actually one of my favorite setups, but you can see he retracts his arm right away, which was very smart. And he kind of gets a somewhat passing position here. So I just reweave my leg in and I reset the position. I don't overly commit to any one attack. I like to go for attacks, and if I feel that they're no longer appropriate, I like to just move on. I do hold his wrist, and the reason for that is from this position, I often either go to John Wayne or I go to butterfly. You'll see he has his hand on my thigh, and he's attempting what's called the mad dog or the crazy dog pass, and a lot of bigger guys like this pass. So when the guy grabs my thigh, I know that he has no base to his right side, which is towards the wall in this case, and I have his leg from the quarter guard. So all I do is I crunch in, and I grab his leg. And when I grab it, I'm able to lift it and shift the weight into his other legs. And then I rotate my knees, and because he's overcommitted on that side, he'll roll right through. And I do this even with bigger guys quite a bit. This is one of my favorite sweeps. Some people call it the knee lever now. Some people call it John Wayne, whatever you call it. It is a great option against that passing position. Immediately, I use a crossface and I insert my foot in between his two legs. I know we have an asymmetrical energy expenditure rate here, so I'll hang out in this position for as long as I can, and I'm in no rush to pass. I know that crossface is wearing on him, and I know that his body is more extended and his shoulders are pinned to the floor. So I'll just stay here and I'll try to cook my partner as much as I can, and I'll slowly look to clear my knee that's trapped inside of his two legs. And every time he tries to bridge me, I'll get a little bit closer, and every time he tries to lift me, he'll get a little more tired. I first go to knee on belly so I don't get caught in the half guard. I know people love to elbow escape, so I use that crossface to always turn them one way, and one of my go-to attacks from the mount is the triangle. So I'll put on an obvious attack on one side, and you'll see his arm came out and he created an elbow hip disconnect, and that's how I slip into my triangle. If we break that sequence down a little bit more slowly, you can see I have his wrist pinned to his chest, so he has one arm in and one arm out. And even though he's already landed on top, I'm not super worried. I can't clear his shoulder, so I secure his tricep and I hold his head, and then I slip over the shoulder. At this time, he responds quickly with the stack, but I seal it up. From here, my first objective is obviously not to get stacked. So if we look at that in slow motion, I'll secure my own shin so I can disconnect my foot and put it on his hip, and that allows me to push an angle. I try to use my other hand on his thigh, but it kind of shot back out of range, and then I'm able to bite and get a little bit closer to my end target. But here I've made only one adjustment, so I pull his head back in, grab my shin, and I do the same thing. That was my second adjustment. I think I can kind of finish here, but I also don't want to burn out my legs, so I make that third adjustment here. While you do want to redirect them sideways to negate the stack, you don't want to go too far over, because then you'll end up losing the position. And that was the end of this round, so thank you so much for Andrew for allowing me to film and post this. If you guys enjoyed this course, feel free to check out my BJJ Fanatics course. I will post the link in the description below, and it will include a breakdown of some of the moves you saw in this video, including how to deal with certain bad half guard positions, as well as the John Wayne sweep that you saw. And that John Wayne sweep is probably going to be one of your best options to counter a mad dog pass. The course only came out a few days ago, but you can see some of the reviews already for half guard and quarter guard.